Hi, I'm Clint Adams. I'm here at Waterpro, and today we are speaking with Ineke Clark, the CEO of the MLSA, among other things. We're going to be talking all things master landscapers, pavers, landscaper advocacy, and employment. I think that's it. So hope you enjoy.
Y'all ready to turn it up tonight? If you really wanna fly, your hands in the air, let the music
So this is for Ineke anyway.
Thank you so much.
That's your birthday.
I really appreciate that.
All right. I've been buying that. Well, I haven't bought it for 2 months, but I've
And
been
it's
buying.
chilled, so we can drink it now.
Well, you can drink it now. I'm not drinking this year, so. I found that the Shaw and Smith was too expensive, or it was getting really expensive, and the Penthay's grapes are directly across the road.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I started buying this from Dan's at like $12, and I just paid. Well, I won't say what I paid for it, but it's irrelevant now. You can look it up. So it's $20 now.
Yeah.
At up the road at the Booze Brothers, but it's not a $20 bottle of wine.
No.
Until the marketing makes it a $20 bottle of wine.
Understand. Yeah, and the Shaws and Smiths are not necessarily my favourite anyway.
It's just slightly different, but it's still got that. You can see by the clarity of the, like how clear it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that kind of real dark yellow. You know how Shardies have that kind of. I don't like it, but anyway, I saw that it was your Facebook birthday, your LinkedIn birthday. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All good. So you're all cool. You're catching everything.
Yeah. Is
So
the bottle in the way?
It is. We'll put it on the shelf. So I obviously this is our first podcast, so thank you for joining us.
It's an honour to be the guinea pig.
I think Mitch was gonna try and get in front of you, and I was like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't get in front of Ineke. But I don't really have a name for the podcast. I don't have a plan for the podcast. What else did we need to organise? Just the name for the podcast. So I thought, I obviously, any sponsors?
I was going to say indoor plants.
Indoor plants
would be the way to go.
You know what? Is it between two palms? Ferns. Yeah, we've Chris, who works at Waterpro, is home working 4 hours a day part time at the moment, and he sent a photo of his workstation, and he's just got this plant set up in front of his laptop.
Oh, really?
It makes sense. Like, we don't have, and fake plants indoor plants.
Yes, indoor plants.
Who would we get them from? Carl?
From Wholesale Plants and Products. Carl doesn't actually stock that many indoor plants.
Yep.
Fairview Plant Wholesalers as well.
Okay.
Have got beautiful. I was at Wholesale Plants and Products this morning. They've got beautiful indoor plants and pots. So that would be the way to go.
Do I need to have them on a tray?
It depends on what it is. If you get succulents, cacti, all that sort of thing, you can just put them in a closed bottom pot and they don't need much watering. They'll die.
Low, what do they call it?
Low maintenance.
Low maintenance for me.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't read their emails, it probably.
I've actually killed a cactus before from overwatering, so low maintenance as it possibly could be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Overwatering.
Yeah.
I fell on a cactus once when I was a kid.
Wow.
That was horrible. I remember them pulling all the needles out.
Ouch.
So I guess I want to obviously bring as much value to the people listening as possible. So if you want to explain what you do, inclusive of all your jobs.
Yes. Yep. So beyond the master landscapers.
Well, yeah, obviously the audience that's going to listen to this, I guess most likely audience will be landscapers first, but then beyond that, what else do you do?
Yeah, no worries. So I'm the CEO of the Landscaping Association of South Australia, which is known as the Master Landscapers of SA. I've been in the role for about 16 months. I was offered the position of CEO when I moved back from Melbourne. And in Melbourne, I was working for a company called Anston Architectural, which is a paving company that most landscapers would know, high-end concrete paving.
Yep.
I'm still working for Anston, so I'm still the SA rep for Anston in Adelaide. But my main role is CEO of Master Landscapers of SA.
So like a 4 day a week?
It's three days a week for Master Landscapers and 2 days for Anston Architectural. But I also work like you work, Clint. I work around the clock, and I absolutely love what I do.
And the companies you work for, they're flexible around the 3 days?
Absolutely,
As long as you do equal to what they expect or more,
yeah.
then no one's
That's exactly right. Yeah, and I'm on call for everyone every day, pretty much. But it works beautifully because the Anston's customers are MLSA's members, and MLSA's members. So outside of MLSA and Anston, I'm also a marketing consultant.
Yep, and you do that for landscapers?
I do it for landscapers.
Yep.
I do it for suppliers,
Yep.
so similar to Anston. And that it all sort of ties in beautifully. There's obviously a lot of marketing involved with what I do with MLSA. And I really like to work with our sponsors such as Waterpro to identify. I mean, you guys are fantastic at marketing. You don't really need my assistance, but I can, with my marketing skills, I can identify what your hot buttons are, and help to promote them to the industry.
And so, as far in as we are, I'm definitely never closed off to things. So
yeah,
I guess it's an interest of mine at the moment. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. So I'm testing lots of things, but I know what you mean. I guess you'd see in the landscape market, there's landscapers who may benefit from a logo change, or may benefit from maybe posting a bit more content around the process and not just finished photos and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and you and I know that social media is incredible for our industry.
Yeah.
So prior to social media, people weren't really collaborating. Now there's a lot of collaboration going on within the industry, which is phenomenal. I'm so pleased to see that, because I feel like I left Adelaide and moved to Melbourne frustrated with the fact that the industry wasn't networking, wasn't sharing ideas.
I think it's an Adelaide mentality that people are scared to share too much for the fear that it will be stolen, or if they expose themselves that they'll get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
We did a dinner the other night. We had, I think, 8 landscapers.
Yes.
And the majority of those guys are competing for the same work. So to the point where at dinner they were talking about
jobs.
Did you end up winning that job for X or Y? And I think at the level that these guys are at, they're comfortable enough in their own skins that they're not worried about what everyone else is doing. They're just moving. And that's something that I try to do here, is just worry about what we're doing. Obviously, you need to watch what your competitors are doing, and be respectful of the market. But, I think Adelaide could probably benefit from worrying less about what everyone else is doing and just do what they're doing. But
yeah, and that's what I saw in Melbourne, and that's what I now see in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. There's enough work out there for everyone. We can all learn from each other.
There's enough work out there for the good, for the right people, I think.
The right people, exactly.
Yeah. Which would probably be licensed people.
Yes, yeah.
if you're putting your MLSA hat on.
Yeah.
So with the MLSA, what I guess you probably have a job description.
Yeah.
So what's your main? What does a day in the life of an MLSA CEO look like?
Well, for example, this morning I've gone out to see Wholesale Plants and Products, who's a member, and had a chat with them about their membership and where they fit in with the association.
Because they're a member, not a sponsor.
They're a member, not a sponsor.
Yep.
They may choose to become a sponsor, but they're a member at the moment. I get a lot of phone calls from our members. I'm a point of contact for a whole range of different things.
So if someone rings MLSA, your phone rings. It's not an office. It's not. There's no assistant. It's you.
No, it goes straight to my mobile.
Yep.
And I find that I'm very good at pointing people in the right direction.
Yep.
And that can be any range of things. MLSA offers lots of technical support to our members, and also has the opportunity to offer legal support, insurance support, all that sort of thing. Legal support,
as far as as part of their membership, they've got access to free legal advice or more subsidised legal advice, or how does that work?
So we're very fortunate that our gold sponsor, FBR Law, came on board last year. Yep. And being an MLSA member entitles you to a free 15-minute phone conversation with FBR Law.
Which might sound like not a lot of time, but the way these guys book time...
Exactly,
that's a valuable...
Yeah. And what that does is sometimes as a landscaper you get stuck in a tricky situation where you're not 100% sure if you should be getting legal advice or not.
Yep.
And that consultation allows you to make that phone call. They'll give you honest direction as to whether they need to get you into their office, or whether you're fine to proceed as you are, or whether you need a waiver letter or whatever it may be.
And there's no implied contract off the back of that. FBR Law are, I guess, MLSA's gold sponsor, but you don't need to use them if you weren't happy with that.
No, there's no.
What if another law firm wanted to become a sponsor? Where would the MLSA sit with that?
Well, so as far as MLSA sponsors go, as you know, being Waterpro, we've also got Reese as well.
And Newton's and Garden Grove sell irrigation as well. So obviously there's
Peach
multiple
Soil,
streams.
Jeffries and BioGrow. Yeah. And what we find is that we haven't had an issue with that. Some associations take a different approach, which is basically...
I had the same trouble with the Aliyah.
Ayla, yeah.
They wouldn't let me become a sponsor because there's a very, very, very cotton-thin connection with another sponsor that overlaps.
Yep. And Amston has found the same with certain associations in the past. They haven't allowed to be involved because there's a sponsor who's a conflict of interest.
Yeah. Or a perceived conflict of interest, which I found in this case, because I don't think that it's the case. And it is what it is, and it's probably going to save me $4,000 a year. So
exactly,
whatever. But it's interesting. When I first saw the FBR law thing come up, I'm not sure how it was written, but it was along the lines of like preferred law partner or whatever.
Yeah.
And that I was curious. Like, obviously, I close to home. My wife works for a law firm who work in workplace law. What if they wanted to be a sponsor? Is that closed off?
It's not closed off.
So then you'd have. So if I was the only irrigation sponsor, then I'd be considered the whatever. You'd be a preferred irrigation partner until such time as there was more than one.
Yes. Maybe. Yeah. So as you would probably be aware, the association's in a situation of quite explosive growth at the moment,
especially in the sponsorship side of things. I've noticed that there's a lot more interest, which is good. It brings money in, and I guess we'll talk about what happens with that later.
It does, but we're in the position now of starting to become more exclusive, and part of that exclusivity will mean that we need to look at the idea of having industry partners as well as sponsors in industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could be a sponsor, and then you could elevate yourself to being the preferred partner.
Exactly.
And then that would be a two-way street.
Yeah.
They'd have to bring training and development and support and whatever else, but then they'd also get priority access to whatever.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a way for us of not closing our doors, because that's not my mentality as CEO, but I also don't believe it's the association's approach of saying no, only one per category.
Especially
can be
considering
involved.
that you can't. It would be unfair, I think, to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
You've had sponsors. I think I don't know how long Garden Grove and Newton's have been behind it, but it's been seamless for probably close to 6 or 8 years.
Yeah.
To then go to one of them and go, hey, sorry, you can't be involved anymore.
That's not what we're about. We don't want to create a bidding war between our loyal sponsors and say, well, we can only have one of you now. So
who's got the most money?
Yeah.
Because especially in Adelaide.
Yeah.
So that sponsorship money comes in, and this is something that I think that a lot of the landscapers would be curious around. Obviously, we didn't really go back to what a day in the life of of an MLSA.
We got sidetracked.
That's normal, and that's what's going to happen with me in the room. The sponsorship side of things. So the money comes in, and then you guys use that for projects, or obviously your wage. Is that information accessible to the members? Like, it's not
accessible to the board.
Public record. Okay, so the board can see.
The board's got all those records.
Yep.
So sponsorship dollars come in, and as a sponsor, part of the reason for me being here today was to have a chat with you to find out
what I want to do with
what you want to do with your sponsorship, because
it's going to cost me more money.
you get out what you put in with sponsorship. If you provide me, as a sponsor, you've got as a gold sponsor, you've got an opportunity to feature 4 times in our e-newsletter for something.
And that's completely dependent on my replying to your emails.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm also willing to be flexible with our sponsors. Yep. So we've got social media, we've got event organisation, and
I think we should probably. I mean, we've done training events where we would have benefited from having you involved at the start. And we will continue to do so. I've got more landscaper dinners coming up as well, and it might be a case of you coming along to one, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think we definitely need to
knock over a few wine glasses.
Oh God! Shout out to Mitch Davies. That was so good. Like, DK's annual wage is worth it enough for me to have that one footage of
I was
Mitchell
impressed that it was
glass.
being filmed.
It was so good.
Because I heard about it, but I had no idea that it was caught on film. So
it was a touchy one, because obviously I'm trying to document a lot of what happens in my journey, as well as bring value to the landscape market and to the homeowners around videos, how valves work, etc. So I wanted to have DK there to film the night, but I also didn't want to, like, just because I'm comfortable being in front of camera, and
Yes.
you obviously don't mind either.
Yeah.
But there's guys that I was thinking, oh, maybe these guys aren't going to be cool having a camera there all the time. So I thought we'll get DK along and have him there for an hour or two, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And maybe turn the cameras off. So then these guys have had their kind of 6 or 8 beers, and they've started to
Relax a little bit.
relax a bit, and they
yeah.
start maybe talking about things that they might not be as comfortable. And look, DK's great. He edits out anything that's going to be
Controversial.
yeah, and put someone in a position where they wouldn't have said that. But that
Yeah.
video of Mitch, like as an example, I sent him a text before I posted it and just said,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
where do you sit with public humiliation? And he was like, I'm all for it. So,
Yeah.
and he's a good sport, and it'll bring more awareness to his brand. And you
Exactly,
know, he
yeah.
didn't Harvey Weinstein anyone. He just smashed a glass. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
okay, so sponsorship, money comes in. You can. Oh, we've got to talk about my sponsorship.
Yeah.
So then the events that do the MLSA want to have more events? Like, is that
Absolutely,
Are you,
yeah.
Do you think you'll get to an event saturated and eventually? Or I
No.
mean, the Mapei thing's obviously had 3 or 4, and they're still getting numbers.
We've had 7, and they've been booked
7.
out every time.
Okay, so there's
Yeah.
value. So the
Yeah.
landscapers are seeing that. So do they
Yeah.
cap that at 10 people or 20?
20 people. Yeah.
I did an irrigation one here the other day, and we had that at 20. That was for homeowners, not for landscapers, but a lot of the people were staff of landscapers that would be considered homeowner skill-wise from irrigation or just above.
Yeah.
And I had 20 as my RSVP, and I'm glad we only had 8 or 9 because
Yes.
I find it's a lot better to spend that time it's almost one-on-one.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I can almost, I would hate to say it, but appreciate how hard it is being a teacher when you're trying to control 22 to 30 people
Adolescents
that don't
or-
want to be there
Yes.
versus
yeah.
9 or 10 that do want to be there.
Yes.
So my teacher friends will enjoy that because I always give them shit about how they only work. What do they work? 40 hours a 40
get
week 40 weeks a year or something.
Yeah, but
I know.
Yeah.
But I like to rib them because most of them are in early childhood as well. I'm like, how hard can it be? Like, you
Yeah.
put the scissors away at the end of the day, and then you've got 10 weeks off. But yeah,
Yes, so I don't think we're going to become event saturated. I certainly don't think we are at the moment.
so if you had
because
1 a month to 2 a month,
one a month would be the sweet spot.
and people would then choose if they come anyway, so you're not actually over. I mean, how many members are there now?
There's 150.
Yeah, so even if you had 10 at each, even if they only went once a year, they're still
Exactly.
no, you know, you're still not flooding it. So
Yeah. And one thing that I did towards the beginning of this year was send out a survey.
Yep.
So what do our members actually want from events? I've learned over the years not to just expect that I know what people want or I know what landscapers want or what designers want.
Yep.
They're all listening, so I asked them.
Yep.
And I did, and the strong feedback that we got was that they wanted a range of events. So they found that all the different types of things were all really interesting, and they like to have the choice of,
Yep.
I'd like to attend this one, I'd like to attend that one. And we try and add as much value to our sponsors with those events, so they're educational and interesting for our members.
Yep.
But they're also, you know, a way for our sponsors to connect with our members and show them products that they might not have otherwise seen.
I guess for me, I've always been a big fan of once someone steps foot in my shop, I'm happy that they're not going to ever go away.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously we've got clients that buy from multiple suppliers, but it's a good opportunity for the sponsors to get someone inside their doors because people might see our social or they might not. I mean, you look at some of our, I guess, other sponsors, they don't use any social or no one actually can see what it looks like to have that user experience, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
So there'd be members of the association that have never been here. It'd be a good opportunity for them to come in and go, oh, okay, so you're actually bigger than I thought, or this is more professional than I'd perceived after meeting Clint, you know, along those kind of things.
Yeah.
But I reckon we should I'd like to do some, maybe 2 or 3, the basics of irrigation, which they can send their staff to or themselves.
Yeah.
And then maybe do some intermediate.
So that's pretty
ones as
powerful
well.
for us because we're offering a range of different skills
Yep.
to our members.
Yep.
And because they are an MLSA member, they get to not only tell us what they want
Yep.
and then receive that training, but attend this sort of training for very little
Well,
or
we'll
for
do
nothing.
that. We'll lock in a date after this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got some stuff in April.
Was it
So maybe
Ryan
we did
from
May. You can answer
Outstanding.
that if you want. I said it's funny now that DK's filming. There's a lot of times I'll hang up on someone because I can't talk to them right then and there, and I'm pretty good at getting back straight away. Like if you want to get me, phone calls the only way to get me.
Yeah.
And I reckon Ryan's probably one of the more frequent ones that I hang up on because I'm always doing something or I'm filming or whatever. But
Yeah.
it'd be also interesting to see why he's ringing
Oh,
for me, because I'm like,
I know
what's
why
going
he's
on here?
ringing. Yeah.
Where's my pavers? That's what it would be.
Exactly.
So I think it'd be good to do a couple of intermediate or some basic irrigations,
Yep.
and we'll just keep doing them until you run out of guests. Almost.
Yes.
I'd also probably prefer that we stuck to 10.
Yep.
Because
An
we
intimate
set it
group.
up out the back. That we did a YouTube of it as well, and I'd love to be able to record more content of us doing another irrigation one and use a black texter instead of a green texter, because I watched the video, I'm like, what am I drawing on the whiteboard? I couldn't see what it was.
Yeah, you learn these little things.
Well, that's what this is all about. Like, I do not expect that my first podcast will be watched by 4.8 million people. Like,
but
or
that's
listen,
why I'm
'cause they know
here.
what's
I thought
watching
we
it.
had an audience of 5 million.
But people in 20 years will go back and go, hey, I want to watch Clint's first audio, whatever, and you'll be there. It helps that you're pretty as well, because people will be like, oh, at least like that Mitch Davies guy, that would have been awkward. If,
I don't know,
if Mitch
Mitch-
was our first guest,
Mitch is
he'd be like, oh, I'm just kidding, Mitch. No, that's just the reality of it. Like, and it's hard because obviously, as you move into your professional life, it's not, you don't want it to be about pretty.
No,
You want it to be about hard work,
Yeah.
brain, success,
But I've been doing this for a long time. I've been
a boys world.
heavily boys dominated. We had the sponsors lunch last year.
Yeah, I was there.
It was me and 13 men,
And I was drinking back then as well.
Yeah,
Got good and sloshed.
yeah.
So
But that's I'm used to that, and I've
Yep.
never felt disadvantaged for being
Yep.
female. I should say only on the odd occasion I feel like I'm not respected for being female. Now this is turning into a feminist podcast.
all good. I want to try and grow my audience if I can grab some feminist audience. No. Yeah, I hate that term as well. I think it should just be, there shouldn't be words.
No,
It should just be
yeah,
equal.
understand.
Like, just humans doing human shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll organise some irrigation events, which we can do in consultation, hand in hand with MLSA.
Mm-hmm.
So the MLSA, so the CEO, you're dealing with visiting sponsors, growing sponsors, meeting with members, and
Definitely
growing membership.
meeting with members, answering inquiries from members.
Yep.
I just find the association has become this incredible wealth of knowledge, which is very unique in the industry. No matter what question they may have about any aspect of their business, we can normally point them in the right direction.
And what are they asking about? Is it licensing or is it?
It's where do I get nice pots from?
So everything.
Everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Okay.
Am I insured properly? That's a
Yep.
big one.
Do you have an insurance partner?
We do.
Yep.
So Gallagher, very fortunate to have Gallagher's very proactive, and it's a very much a symbiotic relationship with Gallagher as it is with FBR Law.
Yep.
So we're very, very fortunate with those two.
Accounting partner?
No, we don't. No.
I've got you
we've had
one.
a couple of recommended to us, but
I'll lock it in now. I'll text them. What's it going to cost him? Probably the equivalent to maybe 3 hours. It's crazy, isn't it?
But I think that gives us a lot of credibility. I know it gives us a lot of credibility as an association to have two pretty powerful
Provided
firms.
neither of them get embroiled in some kind of scam.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
they seem to... I mean, FBR, I didn't know about Gallagher, but I looked at some of FBR's social and their website off the back of the email you sent out, and they look progressive and professional.
Very
And
progressive.
I think the progressive side of things is what interests me the most, because those professional services markets are going to get eaten up with, I guess, the speed of the world if they don't move forward. And that's why my accounting partner that came to mind was with, like, my accountant.
Yeah.
So progressive. Their company's progressive. They're not sitting around waiting for like Xero and MYOB and I guess it's going to be less man hours required to process tax returns.
Yeah.
And if blockchain comes in and takes off in a very quick amount of time, then they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be about sitting down and saying, okay, what do you want to do with your house or your car, or what's your profit plans? It's not going to be tax returns.
Yeah. Which is that's the way the world's heading,
That's
isn't
right.
it? So, yeah.
So it's about consulting more than anything.
Yeah.
And the same could happen with irrigation. It could get to a point where we have all of the products. I mean, I think I talk about it sometimes about people being able to 3D print a poly fitting in their car and so, or a valve. So I
Yeah.
don't even have stock, and all they do is buy, email, like they get a plan, or they could download an illegal
Wow.
3D plan
Yeah.
of the fitting from anywhere, like it's been stolen on a torrent site, and we'll be suppliers of poly ink cartridges rather than poly fittings.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not scared to talk about that either, because I think that's 20 to 40 to 80 years away.
Yes.
And B, our market is so slow to react that I'll still have time to deal with it.
Yeah. In
But-
the interim, it'll be delivery by drone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, but the good and the great thing about what we sell is it's very large and cheap for a lot of air. So drone dropping a 90mm length of stormwater pipe wouldn't be feasible,
Yeah.
because you'll have like 8 drones all in a line kind of flying together. So, you know, dropping a Pandora bracelet via drone or a, you know, Tag Heuer watch
Yeah.
might be more, you know, cost to cost,
Mm.
you know, for the cost of the drone, until it becomes so crazily inexpensive that it doesn't matter. So I think our utes are safe. So to the drivers, if you're listening, yeah, I think you're good for a couple
Not
of
out
decades.
of a job just
Yeah,
yet.
not out of a job. Or you become a drone pilot.
We might get an MLSA drone and get our sponsors to ask to
their
have
kits.
their logos put on it.
So what if I'm an MLSA member? So I'm a landscaper. I've just finished my apprenticeship. I worked for someone, and in true landscaper fashion, I'm going to go start my own business because I can do it better than the guy I work for.
Yeah.
I've got my trailer, got my tools. I'm not licensed yet. What do I do? What's my first step?
So what's been happening more and more, which is exactly what we're encouraging, is that people in that position give us a call.
Yep.
Because approaching your builder's license application without any prior knowledge,
Yep.
even if you've got a mentor or two in the industry, things change. So your mentor might have gone through the process 20 years ago. Things change very quickly. We are in constant communication with consumer and business services.
Yep.
So we have to be, we see the problems and therefore we know the solutions. And so if they phone us first and become an MLSA member, we can actually mentor them through their licensing process.
And they don't need to be afraid of, like, you're there to hold their hand. It's not a case that, and I guess this is probably something that was maybe an old fear, that, you know, what if they dob on me, or what if they tell...
No, that's not what we're here
and the
for.
MLSAs, they're
Yeah.
here to advocate for the members more than the sponsors, I'd say.
Yeah, that's
like your first priority is to the board, and second priority to the members,
spot on.
or
Yep.
equal almost.
I feel more like equal.
Yep,
and
that's
to
fair.
be honest,
And most of the board are members, or
Yeah.
half, whatever
Yep.
it is. But I don't want to guide your answer. Like what,
Yeah.
you know.
no, well, I very much feel like I work for about 300 people, and I'm very proud of that fact. I don't feel like I'm prioritising the board over the members or the sponsors over the members. I feel like everyone's important. We're all part of this massive organism, and I'm sort of the contact person for the whole lot. And
Which is hard when you're representing 300 people, because everyone has an opinion around how you need to do your job.
Yes, yeah, but I find that people. I mean, I think we're all doing a pretty good job, and I've got some pretty fantastic support. The board that we've got at the moment on MLSA is pretty amazing.
It's one of the best boards,
Yeah.
one of the best structured, I guess. How would I describe it? Like, their skill set are quite complementary. There's no one. It's not.
It's not sponsor heavy.
It's not all pushing in one direction.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
was. I mean, the sponsor heavy thing was always a concern for me as a sponsor.
Yeah,
I was on the board. I don't know how long ago it was, but
yeah,
it's very rare, in my opinion, for someone to join a board with no personal agenda,
yes,
even be it small personal
Yeah,
agenda,
yeah.
because people aren't as willing to give up their time unless they've made a lot of money, or they're at the end of their career and they want to give something back.
yes,
I don't even know what my personal agenda would have been. Probably growing the brand of Waterpro. There was no like, I want to get money for this, or
no,
I want to change the direction so that everyone has to buy from Waterpro. I think it was just about exposure. But so you advocate for the members. They come to you. They want some help. You can talk to them about what's happening with OCBAR.
yeah.
Then they can fill out their forms. What's the lowest level membership? It's obviously a student.
No, we don't actually have
No
student membership
because
at the
it's not really
moment.
a thing.
No, well, it is. So I've I gave a presentation at TAFE last year to the design and the construction students,
Yep.
and the minute that they're ready to enter the world, the marketplace for themselves, we recommend that they join
As a student or as a member?
as a member.
Yep, and that's under $400 annually?
It's $450
$450?
inclusive of GST for
Yep.
residential landscapers,
Yep.
and $650 inclusive for commercial.
Yep.
Um,
Do you think that they're priced right at the moment?
yes, I do. I personally think that they're getting an incredible amount of value for money at the moment.
Do you think the commercial's too low? Well, I do. I'm only asking.
Yeah.
I'm just comparing what I know the turnover of a residential landscaper is to some of the commercial
versus one of the
landscapers.
commercial ones, yeah.
And look, I guess it's got to be about how much access they're having to you, and if they're not using any more time, then it's all good. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah. And I mean, because of my few years spent in Melbourne, I've got a really good relationship with Landscaping Victoria, and I do take a lot of cues from what they're doing and where they are, because they used to be in quite a similar position to what South Australia was, which they needed to become professional. They needed to grow the organisation in the right way.
Their membership, do you know their membership numbers now?
No, I don't.
And that's
no.
like triple us.
That's what I presume.
Yep.
Where they're placed. But I think that it's to be able to take cues from them. And I think we are doing a lot of good things, but we still have a huge amount of room for growth. And we need to just adjust our prices accordingly as we go along.
I think it's either Business SA or the Irrigation Association have staggered pricing for the number of staff you have working for you. So it's like sole trader, 2 to 5, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 20 and over, or whatever it might be. And then obviously that kind of gives you a gauge as to how much the turnover is. But I guess with Business SA it would be different because you're ringing up to ask about wages or whatever else, and it's related to 20 people or 40 people or 100 people, whereas for a landscaper you might be only ringing up, you're asking about the business.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if there's 1 or 20.
Yeah.
The legal question you've got
is going to be the same
about your logo or about your IP.
Yeah. And we're not afraid to take feedback and criticism, so we're very open to people contacting us and saying, why aren't you doing this, or why do you do that?
I feel that I should get more of this.
Yeah.
So they become a member, you help them advocate. There's a membership pack that members
they
get
receive,
as well.
which is growing.
Which doesn't have any Waterpro
doesn't have
stuff
any
in it at all.
Waterpro stuff in it. I've asked 3 times for Waterpro.
Stop
gear.
asking. 3 strikes and you're out. I wanted to come up with something a bit different, that's all. And I just haven't had that shower moment yet where I've just gone, like, there we go. Maybe that, you know what it'll be? Something like, if you become a member with the MLSA, you'll either get to become a guest on the podcast, something selfish, or like an hour of DK's time to build some social media stuff.
Yeah.
To do a quick.
That'd be pretty powerful.
To do your Facebook back, your photo for your Facebook and a video for anyone that's interested.
That's actually a pretty cool idea, because I think that'd be a hot button
done.
for.
Done. An hour's not too bad. That's cool.
The contents
you won't
of
get much done in an hour. That's the hard part. Yeah.
The contents of the Melbourne member welcome pack are actually almost the value of the membership. So we've got vouchers and.
Well, an hour of his time's like $400 now. So
yeah,
plus
GST.
That's close to what he's getting paid.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Let's work out the details, because I think an hour might be shitty for them as well, because by the time he takes a video of them doing anything, it's gone. Yeah. And I don't want DK to turn into a consultant of us that does outside work, because I don't, as it stands, I've got him 40 or 50 hours a week, whatever it works out to, and I still don't get enough of his time because I'm trying to do so much.
I think you're doing a phenomenal job, by the way.
Thank you.
It's
all in the editing.
Well, you certainly seem to be capturing. You're talking about a day in the life of. You're capturing all the different aspects. I'm
trying to, I'm so self-critical of all that, and I'm like, I need more. I need I need a video on this, or I really wish he was there to capture this. But
yeah,
how long have you been here? 8 weeks or 10 weeks?
It's only 10 weeks. Yeah. My goodness.
So what do you do?
Your application video was awesome. It was really cool.
Honestly, my biggest fear is that he'll get poached early, before we've had a chance to do anything really great, and because the offer will be so good, he'll be like, I can't, this is, all good, go, just find me a replacement, please. Train up someone. Yeah. Because it's the same for nearly everyone that works here. There's a few real shockers, but no, they can work that out between them. They get offered jobs all the time, and you kind of just have to hope that you've done the right thing by them. And
Yeah.
it's like, I guess with kids, you bring them up well enough that
They
once they
could
go
all
into their own
off
world,
and-
that they're safe.
Yeah.
I try to do the same here, like do everything I can to make sure that people are not going to leave for anything except a massive opportunity. So,
Yeah.
and it depends on what DK's looking to do. Like if he wants to go to America and work for Gary Vee, and that offer came through, you're like, well,
You're not going to say no.
well, come back in 2 years. You know,
Yeah.
imagine all the stuff you learn. So they get their membership pack, vouchers, hats,
Hats. So several discount vouchers.
free fuel. What is? You just got a fuel sponsor now. Is there any free fuel in this pack?
We'll have to have a chat
We should
about
talk to
that.
them.
Yeah.
So what? So that's pretty much advocacy. Not really many meetings. So there's only really the AGM once a year.
There's the AGM.
Members don't come to other meetings.
No, but there's plenty of networking opportunities.
Yep.
So all these events, it's something that our members do. They do seem to want a lot of networking opportunities, and they get it because they can get work
At
through.
training as well.
I've witnessed at a Waterpro barbecue a contractor meeting a designer
Yeah.
and then obtaining ongoing work.
Yep.
So that's one thing that they just
We should be getting
decided
commission.
to.
Didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
And that's pretty powerful.
It's not. I guess we do those barbecues as a good opportunity to network with the clients as much as for the clients to network with each other, and there's no underlying motive other than, hey, come in and have something to eat.
And it obviously works because you get a pretty strong turnout.
I
most of the
remember
time.
we used to do them when we were at Stepney, and we'd buy 1 or 2 bags of muffins, which is 6 to 12, because we wanted to have enough muffins for us as well.
Yes.
There was like 2 or 3 staff.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't eat until like
Everyone
a long way,
else
and just
said-
like, because we were like, are we going to get? I wonder how many we'll get. Will we get 4? Or you'll have someone ring you and go, oh, yeah, we're coming down with the boys. There's 3 of us or something, and you're like, oh my god, this is. And now
Half a bag of muffins gone.
Jamie's like, oh, what do you reckon? I'm like, I don't know, 48, 60, because we buy, like, we've done it that much that I know that a kilo of bacon does 12 muffins.
Yeah.
And the cheese comes in slices of 12, so everything's 12, like a kilo to 12 to 12, a dozen eggs, a dozen muffins, a dozen cheese.
Yeah.
Hash browns are a bit of an odd one. I think it's maybe 2 bags. A
Never
bag's like
thought about that
24.
before. All breakfast items are in like
12s,
12s. Yeah.
It's got to be an American thing, I'd say, but no, Southern American. So yeah, and now it's just out of control to the point that I used to cook the barbecue. Now I don't even cook the barbecue, and there's some days where I don't even come out the front. If we're busy, I'll be doing other stuff, and I'll try to say hello to as many people as I can. But you know, there was a point where we'd be cooking. There'd be 1 or 2 of us cooking the barbecue, serving the food, serving the customers, doing a quick delivery while the barbecue's on, because it's all we could do. So
Yeah.
it's nice to reflect on it actually, because I think about it sometimes, and sometimes I'll be going through the Google Drive and I'll find some photos of the old shop, and I'll be like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
the van I used to drive. And
Yeah. No, it's important to reflect, I think. Remember where you came from.
So I guess I don't really have too much to ask about the Anston side of things. It's
Do you know much about Anston? Interesting.
I'm curious. I'm curious if you want to talk about it. Like I just think all paver companies are the same, because I'm naive and I get caught up in my world. But so if someone said, "What do you know about Anston?" I'd say high-end residential, good quality, good consistency, thickness, used by people that can afford them. Is that?
Yeah, and you'd be spot on. And I mean, Anston's in the world of paving, Anston is the premium man-made product.
Equal to anyone? Like, are there other brands that would be like? And you don't have to answer this if it puts you in a difficult position, but are there other brands that are up there?
No. In the man-made world, they are the top. Person-made, woman, female, person-made world of pavers. Anston is the bee's knees, and they're just a fantastic company to work for. They're actually the first paving or concrete paver to become carbon neutral, so there's a environmental
how does that work?
focus
They have
as
to
well.
you buy credits or something? Is that?
Yeah, you do actually have to. It's quite a large sum of money to stay carbon neutral, but it was recycling all their materials, and even just down to how far everyone drove to get to the factory every day.
Privately owned company?
Privately owned.
Family owned?
Family owned, yep.
And so it was important to them to be carbon neutral, or was it just to tick a box, or do you know the family? Is it?
It was. Yeah, I know the family quite well.
Yep.
It was important to them to become carbon neutral, but also I think it was a hot button for a lot of government projects, because you said high-end residential, but Anston's actually a premium commercial product as well. So it's
strong.
It's
as
very
well?
strong.
So,
Yep, and it's adaptable to. So we can adjust the MPA, for example, to suit a commercial project.
And what would the lead time on that be?
It depends on what the product is. If it's a straightforward standard product, Anston makes so many different colours and sizes that we don't have just racks of
So it's made,
stock
everything's
sitting there.
made to order, or you don't have anything?
Everything's made to order because we make thousands of different sizes.
Yep.
So
Like
it's
6
not
weeks or
5 weeks,
Yep.
roughly.
Yep.
If it's a commercial product and it's a custom item, it could take double that time.
Yep.
But it's generally pretty good.
And
really.
most of those commercial projects would be being designed, so back at design consultation level, they're
Exactly.
across the colour and the spec.
Yep,
So you can
that's
forecast what's coming.
Yeah.
That's pretty. So do you work with the landscape architects and design firms? So you'll go out and do spec work and drop samples and
Exactly.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I know we're not here to talk about Anston, but I could
No,
talk
we're here
about
to
it.
talk about whatever you want to talk
Yeah,
about. Like,
I just love I'm very passionate about the product, as all of my clients know. It's a beautiful product and a great company to work for.
a lot of the guys we deal with use it, so
Yeah.
I'm across the name.
Well, you know the product because of the
Only because of my
caliber of
clients.
people
Yeah,
who are.
yeah. Because I've got such good clients.
Yes.
That's the right thing to say. But yeah, a lot of them do use the product. And if they're not using that, they're bringing in natural stone.
Exactly.
So-
And I'm a big advocate for all types of stone. I'm
Yep.
not concrete centric,
Yep.
if that's a word.
It just happens to be the only product that one of your employers makes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but it's an Australian made product.
so Australian mined.
It's Australian mined and
Yep.
Australian made.
made.
So yeah, that's part of the carbon neutral
So
side of things.
they've got they are I'm imagining the calculation for carbon neutrality is insane. Like they've got to estimate their trucking for the year in
Exactly.
advance.
Yep.
Cars and then audit it as well.
I have to admit, I don't know a great
That's
deal
all right.
about the process itself, but I was pretty proud of the fact that, and I know it is quite technical.
Yeah.
And there's, as I said, it even comes down to how far the employees drive to get to work.
That's what I'm
every day.
thinking. Like, so then if one of your employees moves house, you got to like buy some more credits and.
Yep, gets reviewed yearly. So, but I think and our industry is a pretty fantastic one, and
The
there's
landscape
lots of,
industry.
Oh yeah,
I love it. It's cool that this is our job. Like what we're like, both of us technically are working right now, and we're talking about things that you care about, obviously, and that I care about, and that you got the client. I'm just checking to see if anyone's put any questions on.
we love what we do, and it's very easy to have this discussion.
Like, and all the clients are such good people, and
Yeah.
it's not. I find it effortless, like springing out of bed and getting into the market. So I mean, that's probably something worth mentioning for anyone listening that's not currently involved in our industry. If you are looking to career change, or if you're just finishing school and you're looking to get into the landscape industry, you can getting in touch with you, and DK will put your socials
and contact details.
Yep.
And absolutely, yeah.
Because
appreciate
even
it.
if you wanted to work for an industry partner like Waterpro or Reese or Newtons or Wholesale Plants and Products or Heine's, you can put them in touch with them.
Yeah.
And register their interest. Not guaranteeing that there's any jobs there, but I know, especially for me, people wanting to work here is important for me more than people needing to work here.
Yes.
And that when we advertise for a job or to hire someone, that it's my main two things are that you get here on time and you play well with others, and all the other stuff is important, but they're my top two, because I can't have the team being dysfunctional, and,
No.
I can't have people not getting here on time. It's crazy how important tardiness is to me.
And if they want to work here, they'll be here on time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, DK's application was above and beyond anything we'd had, but it was for the role. We don't ask people to send videos in for driver roles, but it's an example
It'd be great if they did,
of
though.
getting in front of me. Well,
Yeah.
you'd probably get hired as a DK assistant or something. But you know what I mean? Like, if they want to work for you, they'll jump out.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, and I'm so bad, I've been meaning to get in contact with him. He applied for the last driver role we had, and he did everything he should have done. Like, it was like he connected with me via different socials and rang multiple times and sent his application in, and we hired someone else for the role, and I haven't communicated that back with him.
Yeah.
And it's so shit on my behalf, but you'll definitely testify to the fact that it's not him, it's me. Like, I don't reply to anyone's emails, and it's something I've got to work on.
Yeah.
But I'd love to be able to get back in touch with him, and I'll actually do it after this and say, hey, I'm really sorry. to have a funnel of staff for a company is so important. To
Oh,
have,
yeah.
you know there's people that want to work for you
Yeah.
and that are almost sitting, like I've had staff come in that were waiting in other jobs and going, as soon as there's anything available, let me know. I hate my job.
Yeah.
And I'll quit and come and work for you.
And that's part of us being a communication hub, is that
Yeah.
we are that source of. I get phone calls all the time saying, "Do you know anyone with this skill set?" Or
And the
"I'm
landscaping
looking for-"
market's looking for more people than it can get.
Yeah,
All
that's
the- like
something
currently.
that the association needs to address. As in, we need to.
You know what I was thinking? School talks.
Yes,
School talks would be really good. Like,
you, me, and
I'll go
Mitchell.
do it. I'm cool to do it. I mean, Mitch now, you know, and I think Mitch will probably be my next interview because I'm interested to see the perspective of, you know, someone who's just started
Yeah.
and the trouble that they have around rapid expansion and employment and respect. You know, being a young business person in a market where it's quite established for a lot of them. You know, a lot of the guys that are at the top of their game are in their 40s.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear his side of
Yeah.
where that's at. But you know, to go to schools, I think it would be good to be able to go, okay, this is what it looks like being a landscaper. But even to make like for DK to be able to make a video, or MLSA to commission a film company to go, okay, this is what it's like.
Yes.
Because it's almost like you know how like Branding SA are growing the South Australian brand, and then you know, you've got, I don't know, I heard someone talk about it the other day. I think it was Gary Vee talked about the NBA branded itself so well
Yeah.
that an NBA player is worth so much more money than a Major League Baseballer, because the Major League Baseball people did no good branding. And I think he said something like, you know, you could have one of the top 3 baseball players in the world walk down the street naked and no one wouldn't even know.
Yes.
And
yeah.
they're both, you know, they're both important. So,
Yeah.
you know, at schools now, like, what are you going to be? Oh, I'm not doing too well educationally. I'm going to do a trade.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Plumber,
Yeah.
electrician.
No, you're
carpenter,
absolutely
bricklayer.
spot on. They don't.
No one says landscaper.
Most of the landscapers I know fell into the job from another trade.
Well, I fell into irrigation.
Yeah.
Like, who
I fell
at
into
school?
landscaping.
You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't grow up saying I want to be the CEO of the Landscaping
I was
Association.
meant to be a lawyer, much to my mum's disappointment. I think she's come to terms with it now, but, you know, that was the whole play. Like,
Yep.
go to uni, become a lawyer. And I think I would have done it well, but I spoke to Celeste about it the other night, and I'm like, I'd be a wicked lawyer. And she's like, you don't reply to emails. I'm like, no, I'd just do court law. Like, I'd just do the argument. Like, someone would prep that for me. She's
Yep.
like, no, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way.
So,
yeah.
I'm glad I fell into the industry, and I have thought about what else I could do, because I'm in a position now where I can choose to keep growing the business or sell it and become a, I don't know, restaurateur, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else that I can think of that I want to do.
No, I've actually left the industry a couple of times and come straight back. I love it. Very passionate about it. Yeah, it's like one big national network these days. It's not just South Australia; it's Australia as a whole. So it's really
and
cool.
that's, I guess, the internet now, and
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
yellow pages are dead. So if anyone is interested in getting into the landscape industry from working for a supplier, working for MLSA potentially, working for one of the landscapers, just get in touch with you, and then you can register their interest,
exactly. Yep.
and then your members can bid for the employee.
Which is what happens, as you know. There's a skills shortage, and skilled employees are very, very valuable these days.
Yep.
So, if they get in touch with me, I can either put their name out there or put them in contact with the right person. It's not always advertised. It may just
A
be...
lot of it's not, is it? It's
No.
if someone comes up, they'll take them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably a great reason for employers to be good bosses,
Yes.
because I think so often it's talked about that staff need to be on time. Like I just said, be on time, do all this shit. But what are you doing as a boss to attract the people that are going to do that?
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the landscape market, that I've seen people die, their passion for the career die because of the boss,
Yeah.
versus flourish because of
Because
the
of the
boss.
boss.
And
yeah.
like Ryan, who tried ringing you before, is a perfect example. He had someone come into his business from another career path, and he's flourishing not just because it's landscaping, but
Yeah.
because Ryan is a good boss.
Yes.
And there's other examples, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he won't mind me singling him out in a positive way.
No,
But,
I've heard the same.
yeah.
And so in that sense, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend Outscape to
because
someone.
because you go, okay, I saw him come in and he did well.
Yeah.
But then there's other businesses that may even not be members because they're a lot more egotistical or self-centric that go, I don't need that. And you kind of go, well, if you've got that attitude towards that, what is your attitude towards staff? And then what is your attitude towards customers?
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I know some of our members who are very experienced are members because they want to influence the industry and give back, which is fantastic too.
And that's what, like I mentioned before, there's guys that are at the end of their career and they're like, well, I've made my money. I don't need any more from the industry. It's now time to give back. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I don't have any more questions. Is there anything you want to mention?
No. I just want to probably reinforce... Yeah, I just want to reinforce the fact that a strong message of the Master Landscapers is licensing. Yep. So landscapers do need to be licensed by law. And for those of you who aren't licensed, we can help you.
And if they're not licensed... like this is the big one that came. The reason I asked about licensing before, someone I know is looking to get they're looking to get into landscaping in a bigger way, and they're not licensed to do certain things. And I said, I'm speaking with you today, and I'll mention it. Yeah. Legally, from what I understand, if you're not licensed to perform work you perform, the client doesn't legally have to pay you if they find out after the fact. You're
absolutely spot on. And also, insurance doesn't cover you.
So if you do something.
Yep, and that's pretty major, and that's where, so Frank Ross, being the MLSA president in particular, is very passionate about protecting young landscapers. Yep. You may not know that your insurance doesn't cover you until it's too late, so why are you paying insurance?
Well, there's no point paying for insurance if you're not licensed to perform the work that you're insured for.
Exactly, and when your license changes, your insurance needs to change to match it, so it's not as simple as license and insurance, so we can help with all that sort of thing.
So you get stormwater added to your license, then you ring your insurance provider and add that to your license.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So that's something that not a lot of people are aware of. That again could mean the difference between in today's litigious society. It's so important to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because you don't want one mistake on a job to cost you.
Well, especially that early in your career. Or your life. So. Yeah.
Exactly. But we're here to help, and we're incredibly passionate about what we do in the industry as a whole, and we look forward to growing the association into an even bigger and better
The growth's been insane. So,
but it's in thanks
is going to be managing the growth. I think.
I can say this. It's thanks to people such as Waterpro who've really gotten behind the association and encouraged people to join as well. So
I think the association needs support from some of those kind of partners to give that social proof. Yeah. So that there's certain people that are like, I don't know, and then like, no. Waterpro are behind it now, or Risa behind it, or
and that's powerful
landscaper
for
guy
us.
Who's done 20 years of high-end works behind it now, or this designer is now a member, and you start to get that social proof, and they're like, okay, if they're part, and then you get that tipping point. I should probably listen too. Yeah, I think I think you've gone over that tipping point. I think that rapid injection of sponsorship that you've seen recently, it's just like now it should be a smooth run, provided you manage the growth.
Yep, that's it. And that will be my focus, is looking after the sponsors that we do have, because we've got wonderful partners. Yep. And just managing that growth so we can keep on becoming stronger. So
if anyone's got any more questions, any of the socials that we post this on, you can comment below. If you don't see it, I'll highlight it. But thank you so much for coming in and being my first guest to this
pleasure.
Unnamed podcast. You haven't come up with a name while we've been talking? No, cool. I don't know, sparkling mineral water with
irrigation
Clint.
Talk.
It was like lunch. We were going to order some food, actually. I totally forgot. We might have to go out for lunch after this. The plan was to call it, I was going to have food-based. So it was like coffee with Clint, snacks with Clint, lunch with Clint, dinner with Clint. But
Irrigation Confidential? I don't know.
What do we have? The Water Professional? That was Waterpro something, like Waterpro.
The Master Irrigation of SA.
We will call it today the podcast number 1. And that is it. So thank you everyone for listening. Be nice to each other, and see you next time.